Hey, welcome again. Another episode of Cardboard Conversations. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. As always, Pat, Matt, and Bob, we got the whole crew tonight. How we doing, fellas?
Doing good.
What up? What up? I'm doing
Sorry,
all
I'm a
right.
little unprepared tonight. I'm gonna blame a good friend and a bad influence. Richie Dubs and I were playing some Axis and Allies in an engrossing game, so I'm a little late getting here. I'm gonna eat in front of everybody. I think everybody out there knows how that is. You know, you're trying to get racing to get to your responsibilities because you were effing off.
Yeah,
That's exactly what we were doing.
I was very productive this morning. I made a lot of like good strides and getting errands done, personal things in my life here, and then it was okay, time to just play games for 4 hours, and there goes my afternoon. Yeah, worth
We
it.
literally just stopped like 7 minutes ago. Because I am just that professional.
And Matt, how you been? You said you just were enjoying some Outlaws at Thunder Junction, huh? How was the play booster?
Yeah, this last Thursday was fun. I don't know if you guys caught it on the live stream, the people that are watching. It was sort of last minute, but then like I knew it was happening, but I wasn't 100% confirmed that everybody was going to be there, and I also wasn't sure if I was going to be able to set up the way I have it set up. I basically strapped the cameras to my fan, like my ceiling fan, in order to get them in the right
position,
the right orientation, because otherwise, the way that I had them set up for my D&D setup, it would have just been too far away. So yeah, it was a blast. Actually, it was way more fun than I thought. I wanted to play Commander in the beginning of the night, but then by the end of it, we ended up getting 3 drafts in with the play boosters, and that was pretty great.
Oh, nice.
I played Golgari far too much. It was just so good. All the packs just had Golgari action in it. There was a card called Caustic Bronco, which was a nutty card. It's just a 2-mana 2/2 that has saddle 3, and whenever he attacks, you reveal the top card of your library. If you don't saddle him, you just take the damage equal to the converted mana cost, but then you get to draw the card. If you do saddle him, you draw the card and your opponent takes the damage. I flipped over I can't say this card. Cactarantula?
Oh, wow, that is a funny word to say.
It's Cactarantula. So I flipped over Cactarantula twice, which is a 6-drop, 6/5 reach spider. So they take 6 damage, and I just get the card. It's great. What up, Cosmic? Welcome. But yeah, super fun draft. I forced myself in the last draft to not play Golgari. I almost played Golgari again, but I decided to play Grixis instead. And I went undefeated until the last round. I lost 1 game, and then I won the other 6.
Oh man, that's awesome. I'm terrible at drafting. Notoriously bad at it. I think in like maybe the 30 draft games I've ever played in person, I've probably won less than 10%.
My friends are good drafters too. Like the one David, the one friend David, he's won multiple draft tournaments that he goes to. He was at one point. He has the most, as he put it, he has the most WPN points of all the group. I don't know how much it really matters because I don't play that much. But he's a good drafter. They're all good deck builders, good drafters. One of the benefits that I have, and one of the reasons why I think I'm a good Magic player, is that I have good friends that are good at Magic, so like it makes me step up my game.
Well,
so going 6-1 is a pretty good feat, I'd say, for that kind of for that table.
Heck yeah.
So I was pretty happy with that. There were some of them that were like not even close. I just had the deck was good, man. Lots of cool cards in the set. Golgari's very strong. I got to play with Nathan Stewart's the World Champion card that he made, which is called Duelist of the Mind. It's just a 2-drop flying Vig with as star. His power is equal to the number of cards you've drawn that turn. And then whenever you commit a crime, you draw a card. I end up cloning him. He's not legendary. I end up getting a clone of him. So I had 2 of them out, and then I drew 3 cards. So then it becomes a 4/3 flying Vig. And in draft, I mean, you forget when you play Commander for so long, you forget that 20 life is so much lower than 40.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, not just that, you have half the life. that you would in a commander game. But to add to the difficulty of playing in a standard competition is that it's heads up. You
Yeah, it's
know,
been a while.
you're getting 100% of enemy attacks at you. Whereas in Commander, I mean, maybe, a quarter of them are coming at you.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
we've had a
Cosmic,
cosmic
can't
baby.
believe it. 9 months already, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
He's being born as a cosmic baby.
Yeah, right. The cosmic seed's going to grow into a cosmic tree.
But yeah, super fun. Duels of the Mind was a lot stronger than I thought it would be. Obviously, I actually think this would be a very strong card in standard. It's gonna see play. It seemed weaker than I thought, but because I'm always thinking of Commander. But there's a card that allowed me to. It's one of the new plot cards. Also, plot is fantastic. I love plot. It is super strong. Like it actually feels broken how strong it is. To be like you're paying the mana, but like having the agency to cast it whenever you want is very strong.
Yeah, that was my anticipation of it. I was really expecting that it would have a good amount of payoff, specifically because of that. I mean, I've just started utilizing Aetherflux Reservoir a little bit more than I had previously. And kind of just like cascading stuff is going to make that so powerful. And for my Kaikar deck, I mean, that's an even better spot for it, is being able to chain everything together so I can have really explosive turns, because it's cast when you flip it over. So I can control more of my cast triggers and get more juice out of it. And yeah, I really enjoy the mechanic there. I hope that stays around more than some newer mechanics do.
I'll have to admit to Matt, after watching a lot of people play the plot and then kind of sitting in their seat watching them play, I think there's going to be a lot of scenarios where it could be utterly backbreaking. For example, even in Commander, where you plot out a few really strong cards and then board wipe, and then immediately play your cards again because you have the mana to do it. That's really nasty. That's a nasty aspect of plot. Sure, you could do it with damn it, I keep forgetting that the one with the spirits from Kamigawa, and it's discounted,
or manifest.
Foretell. Yeah, Foretell is not nearly as good because you're not gonna like board wipe and then cast 7 things where you could feasibly do that with plot, especially as one that like gives all of your cards plot, right? So if you can generate a crap ton of mana, you can plot yeah.
Fibblethip allows you to plot cards from the top of your library, and it gives their plot cost equal to the converted mana cost that they normally have.
Right, so there's some shenanigans that can happen there if you can generate a crap ton of mana, especially like Matt loves generating infinite mana, and then somehow being able to manipulate.
I'm a pretty big fan of it myself.
Also, I like having no restrictions just popping off. Yeah, Fibblethip is okay. He doesn't. There's another one that actually I like more than Fibblethip. It's a Simic creature called. It's like a little.
I'm just saying that there's. It opens up a
Grizzled Genius. He is the best bear I think ever.
So all I'm saying is that it does open up. Like I don't think that Foretell really opens up whole new avenues of play style.
Wow, all the resubs.
I think that plot absolutely can. Like you can see where it's unrestricted, right? Where it's so long as you can constantly put things that you can cast, and if you have infinite mana on the top of your deck, if you could always just manipulate the top card, if it's a land, down to the bottom. And how does that work if it's well, it says plot non-land cards, right? So if you can get the land off the top of your deck, right, through some other manipulation, you can just get your whole deck plotted out there, board wipe, take your turn, plot, play, go ham with some sort of haste.
Yep.
Like that shenanigans can happen. You can't do that with Foretell. Foretell's not going to do that for you.
Now I kind of want to make a Fibblethip Lost on the Range deck. Like this look. Now that I understand how good plot is, and for a low-cost creature, I mean, mono blue, that's kind of gross. It's got Ward 2 on it, which is fun. Yeah, I could see this being actually a pretty cool little deck.
That's my frustration with it, is that it's mono blue. My buddy has one, David. He built a Fibble-tip deck, but it didn't really get to do anything because one, it's mono blue, and two, David has a problem with commander decks.
David has a problem.
He intentionally like lowers the power of his decks because he thinks like some things are just too strong, and he's like, if it's too strong, I ain't gotta put it in there. He doesn't play Soul Ring in any of his decks but one, because he's like, it's too strong. And I'm like, well, should we ban it at the table? And he's like, no, you guys can
Oh,
play
wow.
whatever you want. He's like, I'm just saying that I'm not going to play it. I'm like, well, I'm going to keep playing Soul Ring. Like, screw that.
Wow, look at these dedicated folks we got. Richie Dubs, now a member for 8 months, and we got Twiddler's Place showing up for 5 months in a row. Thank you, everybody, for the contribution to the community we're building here. If it wasn't for viewers like y'all out there, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. So thanks for joining us. You know, I love these conversations and glad we can have them with you as well. So thanks much for that. You know, honestly, a lot of appreciation, y'all.
I wish it was raining here.
Fortunate. I'm really fortunate, you know, that I get to be here with the great audience, the both of you guys just hustling all the time. You know, a lot of unspoken, unsung heroes, I guess you should say, here that Matt puts in a tremendous amount of time behind the scenes and putting out videos to keep the audiences engaged. And so does Pat, constantly reaching out for new and different things. And I'm just the bunghole that goes around and, you know, socializes with all the rest of everybody out there in the Magic audience. So that's sort of the only thing special I really bring. Matt's certainly the expert when it comes to play styles, and Pat is just, you know, the congenial voice behind the green screen, if you will. You know, he's the most likable on this show for sure. No offense, Matt, but Pat is certainly.
Why do I hate myself so much, Bob?
Well, it's just okay. That's fine. You hate yourself. Everybody else likes you. That's how it works. I love myself. I don't know that everybody else out there loves me. So that's how it works.
I'm pretty happy about myself.
What all have you guys been getting into this week? I mean, I some of the things I looked at, you know, after, you know, the Cynthia Williams issue that we talked about last Friday, and I want to follow, or last Saturday, and what I want to follow up with is, you know, I was looking forward to the quarterly report, and I did dig into that. So a little bit later, for those that didn't catch me on DJ's show on Thursday, I went pretty quickly through it. I'll probably go quickly through it again on my take of what the quarterly report means. And I'm going to give you a little spoiler, is that it surprised me. So now I'm utterly confused about Cynthia Williams' move.
I was like, I heard I heard they're doing pretty decent.
Well, if you listen to Perp, and sorry, Sherry Vegas, I'm going to throw Perp under the bus. He was like, "Oh, it's terrible that they're dying," and I'm like, "Well, actually, the numbers don't look that terrible. They look healthier. They trimmed some fat." Well, and what he said, he's like, they lost 26%. I'm like, no, they lost 26% of their assets, but the assets that they had were basically considered toxic. So they really changed one of their toxic assets. And, I'll get into that in a little more detail if you guys want. I'll go as fast as you guys want me to, digging through the quarterly report a little bit down the road here. But I'm kind of curious what else you guys have been getting into. I've been playing a lot of games with Richie Dubs.
In general, I've been playing a lot of games. I can see you're chewing. I got this one, Matt. Like I said, I've been playing Manor Lords pretty heavily there. I think I put in probably 3 hours of playing that game today. Really fun. Medieval city builder. I think it's built in a custom engine. It's not quite Unreal 5, but it is phenomenally built. Beautiful game. Really good game mechanics. They've introduced a non-grid building system, so things have like a very fluid structure to it. Along with that, I've been getting back into Hades, the action roguelite. I think I'm going to be part of the technical test starting next month. I got a Steam thing, long story. Absolutely love that game. Near 150 hours gameplay on that already. So really just been jamming games and actually looking forward to starting a new gaming series, not just for Manor Lords, but also for game I've been playing behind the scenes a whole bunch called Nordic Ashes. It's an action roguelite. It's been in early access for about a year or so. And this past weekend, it just had its 1.0 release, and they've introduced a couple of other mechanics as well. So really looking forward to doing some of that.
You hear about
Yeah.
Vampire Survivors in that same genre?
Yeah, absolutely.
Vampire Survivors had a new release as well.
Oh, cool.
And Valheim also had a new release, which they have a new patch with it, which from what I understand is their most difficult area release yet. It's still in early access, which, let's be honest, I feel like I don't enjoy when a game goes early access and then stays in early access for many years. It feels a little, especially when they had like
Predatory.
yeah, they had like super massive success. Like they sold like well over 1 million copies. They made millions of dollars. And they had this roadmap of like we're gonna nose to grindstone, we're gonna get this done. This is when the whole game's gonna be released. And that was 3 to 4 years ago, something like it was like a many years ago. And they're just now getting to the second zone that they promised many years ago. I don't know. I just
So
it
it's
puts a little bit
basically
of a
it's
sour
basically
taste.
suffering from the Starship Citizen / Ashes of Creation / insert promising
But they're actually
game
releasing. They're releasing it when they have it. It's just it's so much slower than it should be. When you make that much money, hire the
Well, I
people
think
you
so
need
does
to get it done. Like I
I
just
think
don't
so did Star
understand.
Citizen, right?
I
don't
think
know.
Star
that's made
Citizen
over
has
$1
been
billion at this point.
it's I don't know, it's some ridiculous number, but it's absurd what they've done. Like if you haven't looked into that, check out Star Citizen and the whole story behind it. I don't want to dig into that here, but just say it's been in development for what, like 12 or 13 years. And they have stuff out there, and you could buy like hundreds of dollars worth of ships, you know.
Pre-production started in 2010 on Star Citizen.
Yeah, so
And
it's 14 years.
wow, how
And
much
it's
does it
still not
cost to
released.
make? So far, wow.
There was a guy that apparently he was on Reddit. His wife was going to leave him because he spent too much money buying fake ships, thinking that he was like investing in something that like kind of like almost cryptocurrency esque, where he thought he was like, honey, it's only a couple $1,000s, but in 5 years it's going to be worth 20,000. I can resell these ships, honey. I'm like,
It's something like generational early access on this one. Richie does. By the time they actually release it, an entire generation will have been born.
yeah, I mean, Valheim ain't that
But
bad.
I mean, you have the same thing with Ashes of Creation. If you look at Ashes of Creation, it's another one that's in this same vein that was supposed to be the WoW killer. You know, it's like everybody out there is like trying to be the WoW killer, and it's like,
So what's
dude,
the name of
seriously? Ashes of Creation. It's got some really cool concepts. What's that?
Is that the Amazon game or is this a different one?
No, this is a different one. I actually even spoke to. It's the only thing I've ever pulled my Kickstarter backing from.
From ashes to empires, your journey will shape the vase of Vera. Yeah.
I like it. Look at like when it started. Like look at when the Kickstarter was. Right. And I spoke with the developer, the owner, developer, whatever you want to call him, like 2017, right? It's already 7 years.
2017. Jeez.
And I spoke to him. The problem, I think the biggest problem with it is it's open world PvP, non-consensual open world PvP.
Yeah, you could just PvP. Well, I mean, it's the same thing of BDO. BDO's the same way, but yeah.
Yeah, but they're not super huge and they don't last, right? They're toxic environments. That this one you're supposed to build cities and big guilds and like I've seen this in multiple things, like, you know, DayZ and all these different kinds of things, or like Rust. And you just never get to the actual deep content because it just becomes this PvP grunge grind grief fest that's just awful and toxic.
This actually reminds me of an anime I just finished watching called Shangri-La Frontier, and the main character loves playing bad MMOs, and he often will go into old ones, dead games, and it'll be something like this, where it was supposed to be something fantastic. It came out and nobody cared, so they stopped playing it, and it's just like a barren wasteland.
I predict that a lot of people play it on release, and then within a year, it'll be a ghost town, just like most of the ones that are open world PvP. They're huge at the beginning because you have all the people that have this hopeful look into it, and that's what I told them. And anyways, I don't want to get into that. That's a whole show if you want to get into that. The problems with Ashes of Creation. I mean,
I don't think that's going to be the killer. Because like Black
Desert absolutely Online is. It killed.
Black Desert Online has been open world since its creation, and it's been just fine. When I've played, I've been PvP on like less than a handful of times.
Black Desert Online doesn't even rate in like the top 50 games.
Are you
It's
kidding me?
super low.
It's a very popular MMO. It's probably top 10. What do you mean?
What's that?
It's
Elden Ring?
No, Black
No,
Desert Online.
Black Desert Online.
I've definitely heard of it.
Yeah. These games are very low pop, right? They just are. And open world PvP killed Ultima Online originally so bad that the designers were panicking and they had to create what's called Feluca and Tremel. I have a whole show I could do about it. I even looked into it, and even the designer said it was a mistake to go open world PvP because it drove away all of the casual gamers, and that's the lion's share of people out there. Like 90% of the server population plus is casual gaming. And when they created Feluca and Tremel, well, actually they created Tremel, which is non-PvP, and Feluca was PvP. This is Ultima Online back in like 97. You can look it up. There's a whole thing behind it. The PvPers were complaining that 95% of the population was on. So it took each server. So you had a server, right? And then you had this shard, which split it between Feluca and Tremel for each server. And the Feluca was the PvP part, and the Tremel was the non-PvP part. And 95% of the people migrated over to the Tremel non-PvP side of the shard. And all the PvPers were complaining. You killed the game. But what was happening is they were losing so many of their subscriptions because of the PvP problem. And it brought it back to life for a while. And that's why you even hear of Ultima Online. It almost died before it got started. So there's a whole story behind it. So, yes, it's a terrible thing to do non-consensual PvP. And open world PvP is just a terrible thing.
I think
especially
that
when you drop your gear.
It's an interesting design choice, and it might be part of their like driving mechanics as far as like an evolving game world. It's a risky choice, like you're saying. I'm personally much more of a casual gamer, but even when I hook up with like Prime and Richie and we're playing Helldivers 2 from time to time, you know, friendly fire is on. I'm just as likely to get squashed as a bug is.
You can't compare the two because in games like Ultima or WoW or Ashes, you have a lot more time investment in a character that dying means so much more. It's so much worse to die in those games than it is in a game
heavy
like,
consequences for death. Like if you get ganked by somebody, do you lose a lot of stuff? Like no rest for the wicked. You huge durability loss on stuff.
When you're logging out of games like Helldiver, it doesn't matter how many times you died that night, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
It does in other games. And in Ashes of Creation, what's even worse is they took some of the worst parts of it. Like in Ultima Online, the worst part of it was when they PvP'd you, they could steal everything off of your corpse. So everything you had equipped, all your items, all your gear, anything you farmed.
That's nasty. Yeah.
And in Ashes of Creation, they're doing some of the same thing. You have a chance of dropping your gear and your items when you die.
Yeah, I'm not really down for that.
It's terrible. It's a terrible model.
Way to play. And I mean, if people are up for it, like back in the day, Magic used to be an anti-game, and you could lose a card, you could win a card, and people sometimes like that. I know a couple of gambling addicts, thank you DraftKings, where sometimes it's just hard for them to like do anything without that little bit of a risk. And in Magic, we've played a couple of times at Commander games where it's like whoever lasts the longest gets the most pizza. And I could see having a wager on something, hey, I could risk it and I could lose all my gear, but I could also get everything too from, murking somebody out.
Well, I could see what ends up happening though is you're not playing against equal level players, right? What ends up happening in those open world PvP is you have a level 99 sorcerer who just wants to grief people, and their whole reason for playing is to make people quit and never play again. So you have somebody paying $9.99 a month, and if they can make 10 people quit a day, they're costing the game designers money, and that's exactly what was happening in Ultima. And in that same chat, I was in Discord, I went down and listened to the chat where they had all the griefers, and they were just licking their chops to wait for Ashes of Creation to come out. And they keep talking about like, oh, we're going to prevent it by having this thing called corruption. So the more you kill people, the more corruption you get on you, and it decreases your stats and all this kind of stuff. Dude, as somebody who's a level 99 naked sorcerer running around out there, has no gear on him to drop, doesn't care if he's corrupted. At level 99, it would take forever for him to get corrupted enough that a level 1 could beat him. And his whole point is to sit there in noob zones, killing noobs until they rage quit and then just cost the company money. And they are even happier if they can make the game fail. There are people out there, the griefers, that's the whole point of why they play.
Well, speaking of
and they'll brag about it on boards,
speaking of things
like
that could possibly make a game fail, not having enough product in a trading card game. I think one of the first issues that we saw from Disney's Lorcana was that they didn't have enough supply, and it was possibly going to kill off the game. And, it seems as though they got a bit more allocation out. But Coach wants to know, Bob, guys, do you think that there was another Lorcana first chapter allocation? Are we getting more of this product?
Yes.
Oh,
there is. And that's been confirmed, but it wasn't reprints. This is the amount that they were holding back, they being the distributors, because they knew that stores were going to try to run leagues and things, and now they're trying to get it out of their inventory. So this is what you're seeing is just simply a second release of products from the reprint wave, right? So they probably held back a bunch, trying to get as much for it as they can. And when people started seeing it on the shelves, they assumed that there was a reprint. So I think this is a artificial price suppression simply based out of fear. And hopefully this is all the paper hands that were just trying to hold on to product to sell it for a profit that you're like, oh shit, I got to get rid of it because they're reprinting it. So that's fine. I actually think this is healthy and this is good. And honestly, not financial advice. If you still want to try to get your hands on first chapter, I would still be very, very surprised if we start seeing any more get reprinted, especially with the second release wave, right? And they're monitoring it. We showed the article last week that they're keeping their finger on the pulse, and if it's already dropped, why would they reprint more, right? If the prices have already been suppressed, dropped that much in a month, I think they're going to have absolutely
just gone off a cliff. Wow, 100 and what?
That's a good price. It's
Yeah.
the least desired of the set so far, but how fair is that to say for a game that hasn't even been out for a year?
Well,
like
it's
still
also
working
one
out
of
the tournament theme.
Yeah, I mean,
we're about to get the fourth set here. I think it's May 5th. I think Ursula, I'm already getting the email notifications, but I honestly think that I mean, so what Coach said there are some places that those are admirable LGSs that got more from their distributors, and they're selling it at reasonable prices. And I highly encourage, if you want to get into it or want to get your hands on more first chapter, take serious consideration for this being the time to do it. Like I have a feeling
be aware of what the price is, what it has been, and definitely figure out if it's the time you want to get into it. What are you doing for the spring? What are you doing for summer? Are you going to go and put this on a shelf? Are you going to enjoy it and play with it? I think that's still one of the big
even if
things
you missed out, because the reprint happened to come out around Christmas time. So many people aren't going to buy, trading card games when they got to get toys for their kids and clothes for their loved ones. You know what I mean? It's some people, when we're single, go out and buy a bunch of trading card game stuff. But most normal families that buy things tend to avoid buying trading card games at Christmas time. So there's a lot of people that missed out because their budget just couldn't stomach it. But now we're around tax season, so people have got their tax returns back. I honestly think this is not a bad time to consider it. I'm not saying buy it because it's going to go to the moon. I'm saying if you want it in and it got too expensive, this is a pretty decent time to take a second look at it.
Yeah, I know, right? It seems kind of incongruous to line those things up, that there's a chance for hit cards, but they are quite rare. I think that's the reason that they drive the high price that they do for singles, is because they're incredibly rare. There aren't a lot on market.
Same thing in Magic, same thing in Star Wars Unlimited, same thing in Sorcery, any of these card games. It's the cards that are super pricey, they're rare, and you're lucky if you pull them. I've been very lucky because Cherry Vegas has stupid good luck. But that's again, I'm going to say it again. Lorcana is not a thing you want to buy into as an investment, folks. If you like Disneyana and you like having those cards, what you want to look for is the optimal time to buy things, right? And as you and Matt and I know, because we were there at Gen Con, that was not the optimal time to buy. It was terrible.
Jeez, yeah.
You could not get your freaking hands on them. And then if you try to get it secondary market, they were $400 a box. So again, you know, I say that this is probably a prime time to consider picking up maybe a box if you don't have one on your shelf and you want to have at least one box of the first chapter, part of your collection, something to sit on, something to open because you couldn't afford it originally. I still say singles are the way to go. I mean, not obviously if you want an enchanted, but if you just want to have a set of the first chapter, singles are still absolutely the way to go. And this price suppression right now is helping dramatically for single prices. Look at Elsa. She dropped from $2,000 a piece to she's like hovering around 12, 1,300. You know, she was, and that's just like a month ago. So again, prices are being suppressed. So it's a good time to look at the singles. It's a good time to look at the box. I think that the first chapter, honestly, is in the rearview mirror. I think this is the process of looking at distributors pushing it out of their warehouse to get more product in.
Yeah, this has definitely gone down a lot as far as
in just a very short period of time. So it's helping if for those of you that want to get some of the cards, you want to have, if you didn't get any, Rapunzels or Bells or any of the big cards, or A Whole New World or Tinkerbell or any of like the big cards that are probably going to be staples for a very long time.
Well, I mean, a month ago this was the same price.
Ish. And then it went through the roof. And then it like if you look right before it though, there's like 2,000. It's kind of all over the map, but it was definitely climbing up. And now it's suppressed again. I'm not saying buy this. I'm just saying that this is like one of the things example that you can see.
Yeah.
Price, the price. I mean, if you look at Belle, she was up to the enchanted foil was up at like $600. Now it's down at 400. But these are not the cards I'm recommending buying, right? I'm talking about for you, the players out there, not necessarily for collections, but like if you want to get into the game and you want to have some of the staples, right? I have a feeling that many of these are just we don't know what their reprint policy is going to be. Let me put that out there as a caveat. Something I'm definitely very in tune with to see. I've yet to see a reprint, a functional reprint of a card.
Oh,
but it's only been like 9 months.
May 31st. So we got just over a month for the next.
Well, that might be because of what they're getting in at, but I thought it said May 5th for like pre-release, maybe.
Yeah. I also, you got to give credit to Lorcana. One of the things they've always tried to do is get stuff out to local gaming stores before sending it out to big box stores. So it might be a good 2 weeks, I think, is what they had done previously. And if they keep that up, maybe you do a pre-release or whatever a week before that. Could be almost 3 weeks then.
Well, and they're doing all the right things, right? They're giving, play mats and award cards and prize cards, and they're brand new to the scene, right? And this is all exclusive to LGSs. So I think it's very, very much a
rarity. None. It will be very available.
There's no rarity. It's not rare. But you know what I'm saying? Like they're doing all the right things to me. They're being transparent as they could possibly be. They're addressing concerns like the not sealed boxes. They're sealed now. They weren't sealed in the first set, but they are now in the third set. Okay, they should have got that right from the outset. I believe that's correct. But it looks like they're making all the right moves, in my opinion. They're not overprinting, but they're conscious that people don't, want this sorcery style. What's the other one, Matt? You said they're only doing like one print. Was it one piece? Is that what you said? It was only doing like one print set or something.
I don't know nothing about One Piece.
I don't remember what it was. But maybe I'm out of my mind. Somebody said that One Piece is only getting like a single printing, and they know it. So they're going to keep it artificially scarce. Oh, I don't want to say artificially scarce, but they're keeping it scarce to drive buzz about their product.
They're definitely
and they're not following
printing for whatever reason. I think they're worried about overprinting it because every other game.
You mean like Flesh and Blood?
Yeah, well.
They've definitely been.
That smirk. Look at what's a case of Tales of Aria right now?
What's that?
How much is a case of Tales of Aria at the moment?
Yeah, right.
$10.
I can tell you, Rudy doesn't know what anime waifus are. I can confirm that. He's been
I can
talking
say
about
Rudy
this
doesn't
Miss
know a
Veil.
lot about a lot of things.
Well, he's been talking about this Miss Veil set. And he's like, "Oh, they've got this new anime waifu style cards." I'm like, "Oh, I love anime. I'll look into that." I watched the trailer earlier today. It's not anime at all. They're very very lifelike. Like they're animated, but like they're not. They just look
Yeah,
like they're normal. They look like normal cards. They don't look anything special. They're not anime at all.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't really listen to much of what Rudy says at this point anymore.
Wait, hold on. First edition is notably cheaper. It's like
Yeah.
$15 cheaper to buy a case of first edition than a case of unlimited. What the what
So
the
what
fuck?
does that come out to? A box $45
It's
a
probably
box?
like $42 a box.
I'm glad I
Yeah.
spent multiple grand on that.
Like
I have like 3 cases of that.
Oh,
It's really
geez.
cool.
Sorry, buddy.
it's bad. Well, but that's
Every
what
other
happens when
set
you
before
overprint.
it was artificially controlled, so
Well,
I mean,
no, but here's
a
the
lot of
thing.
people got railed.
They did 2 things wrong there. Number one is that they said they want it to be so available to everybody. This is what happens to all of you out there that like game pieces to be cheap. And they just, I don't think it'll ever recover, to be quite honest. This is also what happens when you got rid of the first edition and, unlimited model, is that now it means nothing. So it doesn't matter if you pick up a first edition or an unlimited. And if you look, even the Alpha and Arcane, look at how cheap Arcane has become. That was up at like $5,000 a box at one point. Not in this chart. It's been so long ago. It was 5,000. It's
Yeah.
it's sick. It was like around the time that the
Wow,
the third
Crucible
one,
of
the
War.
Crucible
Yeah.
of War.
These are all
That was
like notably
that was
cheaper than
almost
they were at the
that was
top.
almost $1,500 a box. I know because I got one. But this is what happens when they do that, right? Is that they just made them game pieces. Even those unlimited boxes were almost $200 a piece.
Well, one of the
The
biggest
Arcane.
issues with Flesh and Blood always is, as it says right in the name, you got to play it in the flesh and blood. There's no like real way to play on a digital client that's functional. There's a couple of things you can do, but it's not quite the same as playing in person, which it's always been meant to. And it's just such a competitive game. Even when you're playing the 4-player version of it, the multiplayer just doesn't seem tuned correct to host a multiplayer format in the way that they built it. And I think that if it wasn't for the competitive scene that they have, like all the tournaments and stuff, I don't know if it would even hold the prices that it does now.
No, certainly not. They gave a big middle finger to the collectors by getting rid of the first edition and printing so much of it. The collectors said, or collectors, investors, like they said, see ya. So now all you have left are the players. And this is what I keep warning people about with Magic. And people keep saying, oh, that's not going to happen. You can't ever do that. Yeah, it's actually in progress. Like people are dumping their collections. That's how Anger Collections gets to buy so much to sell for you for a markup on TCG Player, folks. Because people are just bailing. They're just getting out of there. There's not so many people like me left around that just don't give a shit what the prices are of their cards. It's my collection. If it goes to zero, so be it. That's okay. It's unfortunate. It's kind of sad, Panda, but because it didn't need to be that way. It could have stayed a healthy collectible game and could have still been a game and a collectible. Certainly the investors are gone. And they're slowly but surely pushing out all of even Alpha Hoarder. Do you ever watch him?
No, I don't watch
Never
a
heard of him.
terrible amount of Magic the Gathering content at this point. Matt,
he's
are you
he's
checking out a
probably the
lot of
biggest-
that stuff on YouTube still?
Yeah.
Watching BA. I don't know what BA is, but bah. Bah. But he was just expressing like what it would even take to liquidate for the whales that have millions of dollars in alpha and older collectors, right? That you'll tank the market. It cannot sustain and still have high prices. So they can't even get out reasonably. And in all honesty, I think that most people are in the progress. That's why I say it's in progress, that are collectors of slowly but surely trimming back their collections, selling off what they truly no longer value, holding on to just a few older sets usually. And even they're selling some of theirs. I'm sure Dualbrain could talk to some of that. But that's just what we're seeing. And people just don't want to lose all the value of their cards. And there was some other knucklehead. I don't know his name. I'm not going to throw his channel under the bus, but I was watching it and he was saying, well, card prices don't matter to players and collectors, only the investors. And I'm like, that's so not true. I think certainly collectors care more than the pure players, but I think even players care about the value of the cards. If they're dropping $500 on a fucking box, they definitely want to get some sort of value back out of it.
I kind of get his point. At the end of the day, if you're just a player and you can proxy your cards and you don't care what the card's worth because you're just proxying the card.
I'm talking about people that are buying the product and the product price is going down. Product prices don't affect proxy players at all.
That is absolutely true. I mean, for the most part.
Is he saying that the price is dictated by...
No, he's saying that collectors and players, the ones that buy cards like out of boxes like this, don't care if the prices get tanked from reprinting. And that's patently just untrue. Even the players, even the game piece owners don't want their game pieces to go to zero. And most collectors don't either. They collect things because they have value. Generally, there are those that collect, used snot rags and spent cigarette butts and straws. There's some weirdos out there that do that kind of crap, but by and large, the collectors of a TCG are not those people that are, collecting used bubblegum wrappers. They're collecting valuable
cards. It's going to be an expensive pre-release event. Modern
dude, the whole thing is absolutely absurd. Dude.
It's only double the price. It's not like that big a deal. Honestly,
that's what we're closer to triple the price. They were $20 a pre-release kit for a long time. Recently,
I mean, recently I've seen them at around $28 to $30 is what I remember.
Okay, when I'm talking about within the last 3 years.
Wow,
3 years ago, you see, that it's almost triple that price.
27 times 2 is 54, and the price for the thing with the Modern Horizons was 67. Like that's not
okay. So 2.5 times. How's that?
Sure, it's not that. It's a premium product. It's not designed to be cheap.
Okay.
I'm not saying that it's a great value. I'm just saying that it's not that bad.
I agree that it's not a great value, Matt.
I think we all three agree on something there.
Now, granted, there is going to be some pretty crazy cards in there. So
yeah,
honestly, it will take face down as soon as release happens.
That promo stamp card, if you get like a decent promo stamped card in your pre-release pack, that thing's gonna be really freaking expensive.
For
I don't think a lot of people are gonna get into this. Like in general, I've got a video idea for it. Little spoilers here for you. I don't think a lot of people are gonna engage with Modern Horizons 3 sealed product in any way, any notable way. I think that honestly, people like Twiddler and like pack opening channels are probably going to do really well with this product because most folks won't want to get into. I mean, shit, we're seeing pre-release packs at $67. I mean, yeah, it's pre-sale prices because it has to be. It's a pre-sale product, and if a store is going to charge $75, there's no way I'm going to go and do that. For $75, I could buy practically 2 boxes of Tales of Aria and just sit at my house and rip them open like wild,
or some MetaZoo.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, those are real cheap.
But I want nothing to do with this. This is just absurd. Prices are out of control.
I mean, I'd be interested.
I'm not out on this one.
Like what Matt's boys got going on for pricing.
What do you mean? The collector boosters are the same price as current boosters. The last 2 sets we've had $400 collector boosters. Fallout and
go ahead. All right, I'd like you to buy a case of those
I don't want to.
and then open them and tell me how you feel about it.
But I don't want to do that. That's the
Or
thing.
buy
You
one
can choose
box
to
of it
just
and
not
open it
do
and
it.
tell me how you feel about it.
I mean, yeah,
I bet you if I open my Fallout box, I still make money. The cards are holding great value. It's hard to lose money on the Fallout boxes. I mean,
Oh, speaking of not losing money on the Fallout box, I did sell mine since there was not much interest from anybody here on the channel. I sold mine online because, well, there's definitely an interest here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm curious
but
why
well
you don't
over
think it's going to go above
$400.
500. I think within a year this is at least $600.
I think that this is about as interested as people are going to be. I think 500 is pretty much the ceiling.
Going to dry up, and it's going to be a pricey set. Now, granted, Lord of the Rings, I thought the same way, and it didn't really go as high as I thought it would. Lord of the Rings is still floating around the $400 marker.
No, not this one. No one cares about this box.
I think Fallout's a little. Well, maybe not.
Just type in Duke Space Collector.
Yeah, 8.
And it's collector display. Yeah, I'm holding on to 3 of those. They were up at almost $800.
Yeah,
longer than a year.
One of the worst parts about, again, thank you, Josh, from Hometown TCG for your data collection project, because as you can see, it dies after a year. All the data's gone. So he's just constantly scraping TCG Player for stuff. Be able to save the information. Yeah.
We'll see. I want no part of it. Thank you.
I think it'll creep up, but honestly, I see 500 as the ceiling. I think that they're going to probably reprint some of the cards made in Fallout in other ways, and that's going to really hamper the box growth. But there's definitely
I'm going to give a hot take. Well. I still think no products are going to hold any value, and that as soon as things get reprinted in these sets, they're going to tank, just like it did. You know what caused that to drop that way, by the way? The Commander Legends?
Probably the Jeweled Lotus getting reprinted.
The Jeweled Lotus getting reprinted. Jessica's Will.
And some of the Triumphs got a couple of reprints here and there. They're not like fully reprinted, but they definitely, have some.
And they're going to reprint them again. And as they do, this will drop even further. So that's why I said, until they can get a grip on the reprint problem, Magic's going to be perpetually stuck in this spot.
Yeah, it was on the list. Ketria Triumph was on the list. Wow, under $10. If I didn't think it was just going to get reprinted, then
right. And therein lies the problem.
That's why. Yeah, that's one of the big problems. I mean, as much as I just want the cards to be able to use to play the game, you're
better off proxying.
Having a healthy secondary market drives the game forward. It makes it interesting for the company to keep producing and keep evolving. And without that, it's not interesting to keep playing it. If it's just going to get stale and if they're not making money, they're not going to keep doing stuff. They're just going to stop. They're going to halt the game. So if there is no secondary market, nobody's going to really want to get the boxes if it's just worthless, more or less, Yeah, no, there's a point to it, but as someone who just wants the cards to be able to play with, I'm not as interested as I was 2-3 years ago when I was buying, selling, trading,
It's unfortunate, but like I said, the big key, and everybody keeps, well, not everybody, but I really grinds my teeth when they keep blaming the scapegoat of M30 as being the problem. And I'm like, M30 did not cause this. It's purely the reprints. I didn't want to get into that tonight.
Double Masters VIP, $150, give or take. Wow. Yeah. Trickle down a little bit.
Trickle down a lot bit. Those were up over $200. Just saying.
And again, this goes.
Let me ask you this. On that chart, what did M30 do to that chart?
Yeah, right.
How did it affect it at all? Explain it to me. Somebody in some cracked out theory explain how M30 caused that. And then look at any other card that's dying or set that's dying.
You
Explain
know,
how
Well, it's caused because
caused that.
people lost faith in their ability to
Do what?
follow their word of not reprinting
what?
cards.
They followed their word to a T. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they did, but people don't understand that. People see
Oh.
that they was reprinted at all, and they're just like, that was a reprint, whether or not
Okay,
it was or
but
not.
then they
is a
want
different
all these
story.
other reprints. What difference does it make if it's those reprints versus these reprints?
I don't know.
They don't want
Reprints
things to
at
have
all.
value anyway, so why do they care? I'll guarantee you the Timmies that were screaming about it don't even own any freaking alpha or beta cards.
see,
Probably
we can't even look back far enough.
You have to
It
go to
came
like
out
every
November
you share Vegas?
22.
I think it was more the fireside chat that showed me they didn't understand. At least Cynthia's gone. I'll say this. So let's get on a more positive note. I had said that I would get into the financials, and I want to explain what that means. So overall,
wait, you said a positive note. What are you doing here, Bob?
Right? I know. People are like, wait, let me rewind that. Did he just say something positive about Magic? I mean, and it's more like
you're going back to talk about Lorcana. I'll shut up.
What's that?
I said you said let's go back to a positive note. I'm like, you're gonna talk about Lorcana again?
No, I'm going to talk about Hasbro's Q1 earnings and other content creators. And maybe I'm just dumb as a stump. That is possible. A lot of other content creators were saying how bad the quarterly report is, and I don't agree. So I'm not going to see what you guys have to say. So if anybody starts asking questions, let me know. I'm going to be on the. You know what? I can split this out on a different screen. There. Now I can do two things at once. I have two screens now, folks. That's right. I have gotten into the 21st century.
Holy
shit.
So
This, just to give a quick overview, this is this quarter, or the first quarter this year, first quarter last year. The first quarter last year ended on April 2nd. First quarter this year ended on March 31st. So you even have 2 less days to report on, but fine. And what I think other people are getting tripped up on is this right here. Yeah, that's not generally overall great if you've been doing things great for a long time to suddenly lose almost a quarter of your net worth, of your total assets. You would say that's pretty bad, right?
it's not an impressive thing. That doesn't sound like it's a good thing for my simple financial brain.
And I think that's where people stopped. No, that's a bad thing normally. If you have no other factors and there's nothing else showing, granularity of why it's that way. But where it becomes good news is, if you guys remember me railing against what goodwill is, you know what goodwill is? It's Fugazi. It's fairy dust. It's
Goodwill is it's a store you can go to buy some really discounted.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say that's where I get my corduroys from.
You can find some really good old electronics.
Yeah, retro gaming and stuff.
Oh, board games as well. Yeah, I've found a few cool board games that I got Pandemic like about a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
No shit. I was thinking most of the game Monopoly.
I got Trivial Pursuit, like a 1981 copy of Trivial Pursuit.
Speaking of Monopoly, Bob, I assume you're going to cover that portion of how incredibly big Monopoly Go was financially for Hasbro.
I have no idea.
Oh.
No clue.
Is it not covered in like some of their? Do they not put like stuff on their financials?
They do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Moving on.
What else have I found from Goodwill?
One of the things, again, shout out to retro gaming and stuff there. I think that still you're getting a better payoff dollar for dollar in video gaming nowadays than you are in any trading or collectible card game, really. When it comes to payoff dollar for dollar, I feel, even an early access video game for $30, I'm getting more bang for my buck than if I were to go to a pre-release event. I mean, let's say modern games, $75 now, give or take. That's going to be about a Modern Horizons 3 pre-release. What am I going to have more fun with in the long term? A new PS5 game or MH3 pre-release?
I guess it depends. I had a lot of fun drafting OTJ, And it was about $125 is what I paid, and they're going for 140 still, 135, something like that, plus tax and shipping. Mine was 125 out the door. I didn't make the value back on the box. I'm like fairly sure on that. I haven't actually calculated it up, but I did like a rough estimate. But the amount of fun that 4 people had drafting this set, I don't know. I think that's worth the money.
There's
It's definitely at the
something to be
higher
said.
value, but if you like say like how much money does it cost to go to the theaters? $20 a person for a couple hours.
2 hours, yeah. It's a 3-hour outing, maybe. Yeah,
I mean, I streamed for what 4.5 hours or something like that, 5 hours on
yeah,
Thursdays for that
yeah.
live, and we did 3 drafts, 4 people. Nobody else paid anything because I just told them. I mean, it's all mine. I mean, they could have if I would have asked them, they probably would have jumped in, but didn't need to. I was like, you know what? I got the box for a good price. I wanted to draft it, and it also gave me a good familiarity with the set as well. So then whenever I get around to doing shorts before they're irrelevant, I have some more to say than just about Commander stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Game Pass keeps paying off. You don't even have to buy
Game
some of
Pass
the
is
most
great.
incredible games coming out now. And since it's on PC as well as the Xbox, heck, I don't even think I've turned on my Xbox in a month, except for accidentally because I use my Xbox controller to play on my PC.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Xbox Game Pass is a fantastic value. Especially if you do the thing where you buy the Xbox Live, then you convert the Xbox Gold membership Live to the Xbox Game Pass. You can get it for like $1 a month. It's ridiculous.
Oh, geez, that is pretty slick.
Yeah, just Google search Xbox Game Pass Gold membership transfer or some shit. It's you just buy Xbox Game or buy Xbox Live gift cards, and then you're able to redeem them on the Microsoft website. It's like all legit. As long as they're still doing it, you have make sure to Google it and double check it. But when you buy it, it'll ask you to, or when you redeem it on the Microsoft website, it'll ask if you want to upgrade it to the Game Pass, and it just works. I got like a year for like $40. Actually,
That
no,
is
it's
pretty dang
it's
good.
almost 3 years for $2. It was or not for $2, for $40. It was a lot. I don't remember exactly how much it was, but I'm like, I still have it, and I haven't logged into the Xbox Game Pass in like a month, but it doesn't matter because it's a couple dollars a month. Who cares? But it's
I
still
mean,
good
even
value.
for the regular price, I mean, for the $15 or whatever, it's absolutely worth it. I mean, if you've got a Netflix or a Hulu or, Amazon Prime account, you're already paying that much for a service that you might not use nearly as much. Because, damn, I play a lot of games.
Yeah. I've been playing Path of Exile a lot recently. Path of Exile is doing fantastic. Although, there's definitely... It's weird because I didn't think they would make a more broken league than last league, and they somehow did it.
Yeah.
They really are turning up the dial on what they are doing. I guess I don't know. They did the thing. They did the thing where they released the league, and then the community was like, "We hate it," and then they were like, "Okay, we'll make it better," and then they juiced the crap out of it, and they made it so much better that I actually think they overjuiced it. And then they do this thing where they always talk about they don't feel like they can ever remove like things they add because like there will be too much backlash.
Huh.
And then, so I think they like pigeonholed themselves into this like crazy league where you could just make mirror tier gear for like nothing. So like last league it was all about like farming the money, and like getting the money was super easy. This league it's all about just being able to make them yourself. You can just craft whatever like mirror item you want, and it's like fairly easy to do. And as long as you choose to engage with it, you can just make whatever. Like it's almost on it's edging the line of a hero editor, like being able to like make whatever you want. It's wild.
Yeah. That definitely
Because
takes a
like
lot of the fun out of games. An ARPG definitely needs that. I don't want to say grind, but the difficulty in gaining, good material.
yeah, I mean the grind. It is a grind. All these games are a grind. You play Black Desert Online, it's a grind. You play any action RPG. They're designed to be, it's going to take you 10, 15, 20 hours to get anything worthwhile. Like they're all grinds. It is what it is. That's the game we play. Not to say that's a bad thing necessarily, but I don't know. People talk about always wanting to have games that are designed to be I can play it forever, like Diablo 2 people. They all fantasize about being able to play it for the rest of their lives, and I'm like, I just don't understand. I want to play different games. I want to experience all of what's available. Why would I want to play the same game forever? Maybe that's just my
Unless the
ADD
game's,
brain.
you know, constantly evolving, if it's, you know, something that's changing all the time. I mean, that's one of the few things I could imagine if I, you know, if I were to pigeonhole myself into a game, something like Minecraft, that every couple of months an update that comes out could be drastically changing how the world works. I mean, sometimes they've had some updates where it increases the world height, the world depth, you know, introduce new realms and stuff like that. Whereas something that's like, I mean, as fun as Diablo 2 is, there's X amount of Diablo 2. That's one of the things where it doesn't seem like it changes. You're just having the same fun over and over. And can be great time, you know, very fun. I've played hundreds of hours of Diablo 2, but definitely enjoy the ability to play so many different games nowadays, you know. Like I said in the title, when it rains it pours. We're blessed right now for great game opportunities.
We are?
Oh yeah, I mean, I got like 4 different games I've been trying to play at the same time.
Oh, I couldn't think of like an actual game that I was looking forward to. Me and my buddy
Oh,
were trying to
really?
figure it out. I'm like, I mean, like that isn't already out. Yeah, I mean, Manor Lords doesn't look good to me. I watched a little bit of your video, and I'm just like, it looks so painstakingly slow. It looks real bad for me. Like my brain would just, I don't know, I can't. Like if you were like, it looked like you went to like put a building down, and it looked like the guy had to like run halfway across the world to grab a tree to then like build it. Or is that how that works? Like that
Yeah.
sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's a city builder. It's like resource management and stuff.
I've never been into those kind of games, so it sounded cool to me because it looked like in the trailer, it looked like it was more like it looked more like the Medieval Dynasty game that we were playing.
Oh yeah, and I've been playing a little bit of that again here and there recently. Still, again, you know, a lot of good games out right now. And all the retro stuff, you can go back and play some older stuff. What about you, Bob? You said you were playing some Axis and Allies earlier?
Yeah.
How's that work?
It's like Risk, but more.
Risk was a pretty good game.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big Risk fan. I'm a fan of Risk, as they say.
I own Risk.
I mean, when I was young, when I was in my teens, me and a buddy would make custom Risk maps and be able to just like play with our buddies and stuff. We were really into it. Good.
Well,
It's like a much more complicated version of Risk.
Are you playing on like a digital client?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Why does it sound like somebody shot in your Cheerios, Bob? Just because we don't want to listen about the report from Magic? I don't know. No, your attitude completely shifted.
No, I agree. I mean, hey, it was something that I said that we were going to cover, and as soon as I started covering it, both of you guys are like,
we made little quips about Goodwill. That's the only
Goodwill
thing we did.
Didn't land well.
Yeah, cool.
I'm seeing that now in retrospect.
It's fine. Look, I have no desire to cover it now. If you guys aren't even interested, what's the chances that the audience is interested? What's the point of talking about it?
Just because I make quips about Goodwill? Do you think I'm not interested about the I mean, realistic, I'm really not interested about the report.
Okay, again, right. I read that.
I mean, if I'm being honest.
Loud and clear. So I'm not going to talk about it. It's fine. I don't know what else to say. Axis and Allies, great game. Lots of games out there. Yes, I agree.
Richie needs you back.
And honestly, at this point, I'd rather just get back to it. Like, so I'm kind of waiting for the end of the show so we can just get back to playing it. To be honest.
Let's just end the show, though. That's what you want.
I want to hear Bob go blah, blah, blah,
okay.
blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. I mean, what am I going to say about Magic other than bitching about reprinting again? I've already spoken about Lorcana and gone into depth about that. The only thing I had less to talk about in the show was the quarterly report, and clearly that's not something that is worth talking about. If we're not going to go with the sleeve thread sell, what would you like to talk about?
I just nothing. If that's I don't know, just nothing. If that's if your attitude is like you just want to just go, then just
The only question I have for you is like the whole purpose of you drafting is you wanted to see if it was imbalanced playing with the play boosters, but I didn't hear you talk about that.
Oh, it was a blast. It was not imbalanced at all.
Richie.
I mean, to be fair, I enjoy more powerful Magic. I don't enjoy looking at a common and going, I can maybe make this work. I don't know. It was, to me, like I said, it was the best draft experience I've had in Magic the Gathering, bar none.
That's good.
Opening packs of cards and going, wow, it's a hard decision. Normally for me, it's like, okay, cool, I have one playable good card, and then whenever this card comes around again, I'm gonna have to play this really crappy 7-mana 6/6 that's gonna be a bomb in limited. Screw a bomb in limited. I want to be at a bomb all the time. I don't know. So I like.
What are your thoughts for Modern Horizons 3? I mean, generally, the Modern Horizon sets have been really powerful. I mean, I think that's why MH2 stuck around for so long. With your enjoyment of kind of a higher level of power in your games, do you think that a draft for MH3, even though it would be expensive, would you think that would be even more fun than your Outlaws experience was?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's going to be a blast. I'm going to buy one. There's play boosters of it. Why wouldn't I buy it?
Here's where you run into an ultimate problem with all of that. They need to push selling sets. One of two ways they're going to do that they found that works. Reprinting old valuable cards until they no longer have any value. Looking at you, Urzes. And they're going to do that with all of them. Either that, or they start power creeping. And you get to the point in every format where you're power creeping until it's always just a turn 0, turn 1 win. That turns the game into crap. And unfortunately, once they print a card, it's letting the genie out of the bottle, and they can't unprint it. And if they just start, I mean, it's even less popular when they start banning cards. So they're painting themselves into a corner by making the draft sets more powerful, so you don't have to play your 6/6 crappy. There's a reason that they put those powerless cards in there, so that they watered it down enough that you're not power creeping the shit out of the entire game.
Yeah, that's definitely, I mean, that's exactly what happened to Yu-Gi-Oh! And why it's in the terrible situation that it is. But, you know, that just makes me worry in that there are going to be, it's a years-long process, or at least over multiple sets. And that's why it would have been a years-long process previously. But now that they're printing so many so fast, so many new sets, I think that they're slowly ratcheting it up. And if it weren't for their
not slowly, I disagree. I think they're rapidly ratcheting it up. And what you're doing, what the concept that you're talking about is they're condensing value to push sets out now, to push the creep out now. And they've always run into a problem with power creep. That's why we came. It was the whole reason that you had, you know, both of you are too young to remember, but they had type 1 and type 2, right? And then it was type 1.5, type 2.5, right? And they had to keep making more and more and more formats because they were power creeping things. And video games run into the same problem. The problem with the advantage video games have over card games is they can reset back to 0. Looking at you, Cataclysm, and lots of different things that they do, and things like World of Warcraft, they can reset the playing field. Magic cannot, because the cards are already out there. And once they get to a certain point, it'll just be super unfun to play, because like Matt says, I can't understand why you wouldn't want to put an optimal card in your deck. Well, eventually it's going to get to where everything is CEDH. There is no other thing besides CEDH or hyper competitive, super cracked meta, and the only thing that'll be fresh at all will be standard. And they're just going to push it to the point where even the commons are like 0 mana cost to create 4 any colored mana. Cool. And that'll be your commons. You know, it's just going to be absurd. To where it doesn't matter what your draws are. It only matters who got to win the roll. And that's where this is heading. There's no way back from it.
I could see this being a pretty fun draft.
Yeah, and the price point, that's actually higher than what you can get at lower price points as well.
I mean, this is a $90 drop. You know, this is not insignificant in the last, you know,
okay.
This is
with that $90 drop, what is either of your faith that you could buy it at $270 and make money in 3 months?
I doubt it would even be make money. It would just be recoup 60% of the value, 70% of the
Okay.
value in
So
monetary.
what you're looking at
and
is at least a 40% drop if you had just gone out and bought the cards instead.
yeah, but at that
It
point, it's not even
depends.
about the cards. It's about the draft experience. Like Matt said, hanging out with your boys for a couple of hours,
I hate to tell you, most of the people who play Magic are
fine.
broke as shit, and they're not going to be able to afford to draft sets like this.
That is a very good point. A lot of people are broke as shit right now.
Well,
Especially in Magic.
whose fault
The
is
Magic
that?
community is full of broke people.
Matt ain't kidding. Whose fault is that, though?
Work harder.
Okay. No matter whose fault it is. So you're saying it's a great draft experience, except the fact that most people can't afford to draft it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it
Draft.
sucks.
I
It's
can't
just-
barely afford
I mean,
groceries.
Okay. I mean,
I feel
whatever.
like this isn't much higher than, I don't know. Even if it's double the price, even if it's 2.5 times, it's still not. I mean, it's not great because I think I don't know. If I remember correctly,
Sure.
what was it? Double Masters when it first came out, that was like $10 or $12 a pack, and it was like way more expensive than everything else. But that set was phenomenal. I don't know. I just think it's fine.
Okay. I disagree. I don't think any of this is fine. No part of this is fine. Not for longevity.
Yeah, I don't think this is long-term helping the game. I think the play booster decision was probably whatever. I'm fair to Midland on that. I'm not very impressed or depressed because of that. But again, rapidity and
fun.
the speed that cycles are coming out, man. Oh, Benson's got a good question here, Bob. If you're a CEO, I'm assuming of Hasbro or WotC specific, what's your day one plan?
Retire today.
Retire. Get the job and quit.
Yeah. Get my golden parachute and punch out. You mean, how would I fix these problems? In all honesty, I don't think that they can. I think they can slow the bleeding, put a tourniquet on it. I don't think they will, because that means that they're going to have to take a severe
It's not going
shave and a
anywhere.
haircut.
It's not
yes, it is.
failing. It will
Okay.
not. It will not go down. It's not gonna.
Sure.
It's never gonna lose. As long,
All right.
especially if they bring Commander to Arena, it's just gonna fuel the fire.
Ooh, Richie, controversial. Cancel everything that's not a standard set for 3 years. No more mystical archives.
I mean,
That would
all
be
of these things and more. The number one thing I think is a problem is transparency. That's where I'd start. If supposedly M30 is the devil that killed everything in Magic, and it's, because nobody trusts WotC, how do you reestablish trust? The best way to do this is be transparent. So you fix every problem from scratch, the biggest problems. You fix the curling foils. You fix the transparency issue. You fix the trust issues. You issue contracts in every pack and every box so that you're held to your feet to the floor, that you can't violate the reserve list. Because right now, violating the reserve list, promissory estoppel, you could not win a case, not legally, against WotC for promissory estoppel. There's no, to get into like the details of it, if you really want to look it up and you really give a shit, it's called consideration, and there's no consideration, which means there's no case, period, end of story. The only reason they don't want to do it is because they don't want the bad press, worse press than they already have. But there's any idiot that thinks you can win a lawsuit against WotC for promissory estoppel for printing the reserve list, look into it. Look into contract law, look into the stuff that's already out there online, and read up on what's called consideration, because there is none. There was no contract ever signed with you, the moron that bought the cards for whatever price you did, not even if you bought them at the store. You signed no contracts. There's no contractual obligation. It doesn't meet the standards of contract, because in a contract, in order to violate it, you have to have consideration on both parties. They're promising to do something for you. What are you giving back to them? Nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what consideration is. WotC gets nothing in return for this promise. So all it is a promise. It's not promissory estoppel. You're out nothing for doing it, not according to what they agreed with you for, because they got nothing out of it.
Day one, establish a better line of communication with your audience. The buyers,
numbers, print numbers, everything. Plans, print numbers, how long it actually takes, what's in print, how long it's going to be in print, how many numbers they're planning to print in the next set. Be transparent.
I think that would be easy enough for them, in all honesty, too. It's just that they need to change their modality. How they go about things has got to drastically be altered, or else they're just going to keep doing the same terrible thing that they are. They're not going to deliver well to their audience. And I think that's their biggest, hurdle right now is, like you said, what the public opinion of them is not great.
And honestly, what I would try to do is break it off from a dying company. WotC's not going to save Hasbro. The sinking ship has too many holes, and WotC's not big enough to plug all the holes. It's just a leech. And in order for WotC to start making smart decisions for its brands, it has to break away from Hasbro, or they're going to kill WotC. Like, that's the only way to save it, to even save part of it. Hasbro's going to die. They're clearly going to die. And they can drag down Magic with it. But on the way down, they're just going to reprint everything till it has no inherent value anyways. So anything that was a collectible, it's gone. And that's what it's going to come to. They're not going to quit until they're forced to, just like people don't quit spending on credit cards till they're forced to. People don't quit doing heroin until they're forced to. People don't quit stealing until they're thrown in jail. Like, human nature just isn't to quit when it's healthy for you. Fat people like me don't quit eating when you get diabetes. It's human nature. And the only thing that's going to save WotC and Magic is divorce themselves from Hasbro. Without that, I don't see, no matter what they do, that they could possibly be fat enough to keep Hasbro afloat.
Yeah, I mean, as Benson's pointing out, physical toys, physical media in general has been on a decline for years. Tablets and PCs, I mean, electronic is definitely where things are going to. And I think...
And you can't convert. The IPs won't be strong enough. A Monopoly IP and a Peppa the Pig and all these IPs, they're not going to be strong enough, electronically speaking.
I don't know, man. Monopoly Go made $1 billion. That's nothing to, like, scoff at.
How?
Bro, I don't fucking know, but that's a legit thing. Yeah.
I'm just telling you, and we'll see where it goes, because Pokemon Go had its flash in the pan phase too.
Mm.
And so did, what was it one you guys just played? The Pokemon ripoff?
Our World?
Yeah.
Our World. Yeah. And what that shows you is that any moron, Minecraft, Pal World, can jump up and steal your market share in a heartbeat from anywhere around the world, any moment in the digital media space. So
they've trailed. Holy crap, they've trailed off for Power World. That is a dying. They went from 2.1 million all-time peak. After the first month, they lost 705,000. After the second month, they lost 350,000. After the third month, the last 30 days, they lost 37,000, and they are down to an average player of 49K from 2.1 million.
It's, so the digital space is, what I'm saying, is far too volatile.
And
period.
I mean that in a way.
So, I don't think that Hasbro can be saved by going digital. I think that they're just going to drag WotC down with them until they've drained so much value from those IPs that they're really not worth anything. And then you'll see Hasbro maybe spin off when there's a little bit of something left on it. They did it with E1. That's what, I was going to get into that. That's why they're down the 2 billion, is because they spun off E1. They finally got rid of E1. And they lost the goodwill. They lost the assets, but it really wasn't worth that. They lost Fugazi. That wasn't there to begin with. At any rate, the point being that they're going to show that they're going to continue to do that with every brand that they have. Squeeze the juice until there's no more left, and then they'll sell the husk to any moron who wants to buy it. They did it with Mitgo, and they sold it off to Daybreak Games. I mean, yeah.
I think it's going to be
in front of all of us.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tumultuous, and we'll see over the next couple of years how.
So saying that they can't go broke, I disagree with you, Matt. I think that they can absolutely ruin Magic, and they're doing everything in their power to do that.
I do not agree.
Okay.
I think they're too big to fail.
Okay. We'll see.
They'll get that government bailout like the auto industries. Richie Dub says they milk the wrong side of
I agree
Magic
with that.
too. They would have milked the lore, an IP, not the player base.
Yeah, meaning like create things like Arcane did for League of Legends. Come up with more creative ways to broaden the strength of the base of your products rather than just squeezing the value out of it, which is what they've done. And here's the problem, Richie, though. That would not be nearly as profitable in as short a period of time as it has been to be the lifeboat that Hasbro has needed to stay solvent. Just imagine what Hasbro's numbers would look like if they didn't have WotC for the last 5 years. They'd probably already be in Chapter 13.
Yeah, they definitely would have gone through some restructuring, to say the very least. I'll give you that. Okay. I don't think giant kaiju fighting robots and the game Battleship is going to fucking keep them afloat. Like, it's just not going to. When two kids can just take their phones and play Battleship on a mobile instead of having like the little pegs screwing up their, carpeting, I think that's going to be one of the big ways that people get into it. And also the ability to play over distance, like you and Richie being able to play Axis and Allies, across the country. Whereas you'd have to have all those little blocks on a big old map playing it in person. So I think that it will just be a very different atmosphere in general. I don't think that Magic, personally, personal opinion, I don't think Magic the Gathering will go away, not for years and years, if ever, but it's definitely going to go through a terrible period. And I think we're starting to see some of that. And depending on who they get to replace Cynthia Williams, if she was the person actually making decisions, if they put another puppet in head, I worry for what will come for the company. But maybe they put Blake Rasmussen or big thumbs. Maybe they put him in charge. Who knows? There could be something that's the drastic change we always needed. And that's what we see in the next 18 months. Shit, that'd be great. I'd love to see that. Stay tuned. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you get notified when Magic is saved.
It's saved.
Yeah, we'll put out a special notification, not just channel members. Everybody gets it. The hero's here. Henry Cavill's now in charge of Magic.
The hero we want but don't deserve.
Yeah, right. Yeah, speaking of the hero we don't want, I've been watching Invincible on Amazon Prime. It's phenomenal. Hey, back at you, Time Capsule.
I watched the second season of Demon. Was it the Misfit at Demon High Academy? What a phenomenal anime! I actually think it might even be like my top 3 animes.
Prime likes it too. What up, Hillbilly? Doing pretty good. We're going on almost an hour and a half here, so we'll probably wrap up not too terribly long. I know I got some chili I want to eat here pretty soon. Got some tasty chippies to go with it. Love me some chippies. That's how I got as fat as I did.
I do like me some chili as well.
I've heard X-Men 97 is pretty dang good. I'll have to check that out. I think that's on what, Disney Plus? I don't have that one. Or Paramount. So many damn streaming services.
If only there was a way to watch things without a streaming service.
Right? Like
That'd
typing the words online free after anything you want.
Or you just have a choice website that just has everything.
Yeah, right. You do some couch tuning or something.
If you happen to find one of those, that'd be pretty cool. Wouldn't that be cool, huh? Not to say that I use or anybody
Hillbilly
uses those,
doesn't think that new X-Men is good as the old X-Men, huh? You're putting X on the X-Men?
Apparently the what is it? The Deadpool and
Wolverine.
The Wolverine trailer apparently is popping off harder than like anything ever.
Yeah, it's actually pretty badass. For a trailer, I'm surprised that they cuss as much as they do. I mean, you're definitely not monetizing that trailer.
What about their monetization?
Yeah. I don't think they're worried about that. Their monetization model is going to be people watch the fucking movie. It does look pretty sweet. I mean, two people that can't really die fighting each other and then becoming teammates. And since the two actors actually have like a very good comedic chemistry, I could see it being really entertaining. Trailer is fun.
I haven't seen it yet. I just saw an article that was talking about it being like really, really good.
Yeah, I mean,
And I guess being one of the most successful. I don't even know how a trailer can be measured as being the most successful. Maybe there's like is it on YouTube? Maybe I don't know.
yeah, it's on YouTube.
Oh, they have analytics somehow, and they said it's like one of the most successful trailers.
They have analytics, bet it's called view count.
No way.
Yeah. That's how I measure our analytics. If it says we have more views, it did good.
More view equals gooder.
Yeah, I think that's how that works, along with like retention and like impressions and click-through rate. But that's underlying.
I actually am baffled how short people's retention span is in general.
Bro, when you have like a 30-second short and people like swipe away after 6 seconds, it's like how bad is this? But then I think about my terrible habits when I'm on like Instagram or something, and it's like, nope. I don't see how anybody's going to die in this video. Time to skip to the next one. Oh, here's a good car crash. I'll watch this.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. Well, then again, I'm actually probably in a different situation where like I'm at my computer for like I don't know, way too much of my life, and I constantly need something on the other monitor playing. So I'm constantly looking for long content to be able to like have on the monitor. So maybe that's my problem. I don't know.
Yeah, I get that. When I'm playing games, depending on what it is, since I do a dual monitor setup as well. Like I said, I'm really into the city builder stuff, and as you pointed out, it can be quite slow. It's not a short, thing. So I'll have like an anime series running in the background on my other monitor while I'm, harvesting a wheat crop.
I did have the Demon High Misfit King of Cat. I keep messing up the name, but either way, I did have that on the secondary monitor, and then I ended up just stopped playing PoE to watch the rest of it. I was like, oh, I need to pay attention. There's too much crap going on that I need to know about.
Instead of getting good, yeah,
it's real good. The second season's better than the first.
Oh wow, you don't see that much.
Yeah. And then there's a third season out, but the only way you can watch it is if you watch it subbed. And I prefer dubbed.
Yeah,
because like I feel like I'm drawn away from watching the actual show, and I'm just staring at the bottom reading. And to me, it's just not as fun, and not as good as an experience.
I mean, for me, if I'm like playing a game and there's something with subtitles on my other monitor, I'm not gonna like stop watching my people build the new hunting lodge. Like I got to pay attention to the game, at least mostly. So having dubbed anime or stuff in English is definitely preferable. But if I'm just watching a show, I don't mind subtitles at all. I grew up reading subs.
I only started watching the subbed version because it's only out in sub at the moment because it just it's on a current season 3.
Yeah, that's
so
typical enough.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I do a lot of simulcast stuff from Japan as well through Crunchyroll, and you'll have like 4 seasons in English, but the 5th season is like premiering weekly, and it's all in Japanese.
Yeah, that's where I'm at the position now.
If you've never seen it, Jujutsu Kaisen is phenomenal.
I've heard it. I still need to watch Overlord.
Oh, Overlord's real fun, but in a different way. Yeah, it's a overpowered isekai.
Yeah, that's Demon King of Misfit. He was the tyrannical demon king at one point, and he decided that he didn't want to be a tyrannical king anymore. Actually, it's not even that. From what I understand, he's always been a good guy, but in order for him to make the changes he wanted to make, he had to become the demon king. So he had to become tyrannical in order to gain because like the way this world works is your beliefs and your traditions and your rumors empower you. So like the fairies only can stay alive if people still practice the traditions of the fairy. So like if people just stop doing those traditions, they just like fade away. Same thing with demons. Like if the demons are believed in, then they get like more followers basically, and the stronger they get. So he felt like the only way that he can make a real big difference in the world was to become a tyrannical king, and then he like ended up killing himself in order to make this big barrier to prevent the humans and the demons from fighting, to try to create world peace basically. But the thing is he doesn't actually ever die. He reincarnates. I guess all the demons and I don't know if the spirits do it, but they reincarnate instead of just like straight up die. But it can take like 1,000 years to reincarnate. So yeah. So he ends up reincarnating like 2,000 years later. And he just decides, you know what? I'm just gonna try to live a normal life. He gets like a normal parents, although his parents are like oblivious to the fact that like he's a grown ass man, and they think he's 6 months old. It makes no fucking sense at all. But they're just like, he's grown up so fast. It's like, dude,
kids nowadays.
Yeah, they're just grown up so fast, like super fast. Like he's like a grown ass man. He's like 6 years old or 6 months old. Like they're just oblivious. I think he has the ability to like maybe control their mind, like and like just make them think that it's like normal. Maybe he's very like he can basically do whatever he wants. He like rewrites history. He does all kinds of shit. He's overpowered. He cannot lose. That's the problem. Is like it gets to a point where like he like starts like in one part he blows up a god, and then brings him back to life with 10% of his power and says, "You're gonna now teach the class." That's how powerful he is. It's wild.
Oh, jeez.
But I don't know. I just love it. It's great.
Awesome. Well, hey, like I said earlier, I definitely want to get in some gaming here tonight. So I think I'm gonna take a bit of time and get into that. Anything you want to say before we sign off, Matt?
I didn't even know Bob left.
Yeah.
He didn't even say goodbye. He just left.
He put something in the private chat there.
Ah, I see.
We were having a conversation. I didn't even notice the little pop-up.
Nope. I saw he was being quiet for a while, and then he left. I don't know. I feel like he was just a little defensive, and I don't know. That was weird.
I honestly thought the Goodwill bit was pretty damn funny, but I guess 2/3 of us thought it was, and Bob was the one sharing, so he probably took it a bit personally. I get that. I'll definitely
just a little fun quip. Not like we don't do that all the time.
Yeah. Hey, shit is what shit is.
Yep.
Love him and he knows it. So I don't think ain't nothing but water under the bridge. And thank you, Richie. Thank you everybody for joining us this evening. As always, it's been a pleasure. So have fun, take care, do something wonderful, and we'll see you again next week. Bye, y'all.